don't count them.
Would you prefer if that chart could say 14,000 rapists, and I know that they all got in here under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? You can't, because the numbers are not specific to which administration. They could have come in under Barack Obama.
Do you think they all came in under Donald
no,
Trump?
No, of course I don't. But I'm saying that it
here's
is
the bottom line.
Unfair to say that it is only a problem.
Things got pretty heated on the most recent episode of The Five on the Fox Propaganda Network when liberal Fox News commentator Jessica Tarlov hurt her MAGA co-host's feelings with a series of brutal fact checks which visibly triggered them on screen. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have a couple of clips to look at in this video. It's always good when Jessica Tarlov is on The Five because she's able to fact check these four MAGA losers, Jesse Waters, Dana Perino, Janine Pirro, and Greg Gutfeld, with alacrity. And even though she's outnumbered 4-1 and has the hardest job in mainstream legacy media, she's very good at what she does. And for context, ICE, the agency that works under the Department of Homeland Security and helps Border Patrol, released a very controversial report detailing, among other things, that in the United States, there are 13,000 migrants who either have committed homicide here in the United States or abroad. Now, they are in the process of being deported, but they either have a pending immigration case or ICE can't find them. Now, again, it's a staggering statistic, which is making all kinds of rounds, particularly on conservative media. But for the reasons Jessica Tarlov will get into, there are a couple of crucial caveats, because right now, what Fox and Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans want you to believe is that all of these people are here under the Biden administration, that everything prior to the Biden administration was perfect, and that the Biden administration isn't even attempting to deal with this situation. And there's so many important caveats and context that need to be provided. And the Fox News hosts outside Jessica Tarlov, they don't like to hear it.
It is an interesting thing that you have a lot in the media and several Democrats saying, actually, crime's down. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. But people are seeing this like every day. And then these numbers are really eye-popping, and the ones that we don't know about, and which is how all of these things add up to the point that you get to almost 68% of people saying that they agree with Donald Trump about mass deportations.
So the reason that so many people unfortunately agree with Donald Trump about mass deportations is in large part because of people here at the Fox Propaganda Network. Now, a couple of things I want to clarify. Number one, migrants, documented or undocumented, people who are here illegally, they commit crimes at a lower rate than natural-born American citizens. That is a fact. Now, you can still want to enforce border laws and immigration laws in this country. You can say, listen, if you're here illegally or without documentation, without proper authorization or authority, if you haven't claimed asylum, you should be deported. People can have that hardline approach without demonizing and misrepresenting migrants in this country. Yes, even undocumented migrants commit crimes at a lower rate than natural-born American citizens. Fox tends to omit that fact, which contributes to the atmosphere of xenophobia, bigotry, and racism, which unfortunately pervades much of the MAGA movement. The other thing I'll say before Jessica Tarlov responds is that you hear how Dana Perino, like many other Fox News hosts, react to the recent devastating report, devastating to them, from the FBI with 94% coverage that violent crime in this country, particularly murder, is down. That is a fact. That's not a matter of opinion. If you say that crime is up in this country as a national trend or overall with respect to violent crimes, you are lying or you're stupid. One of the two. Fox wants you to ignore the data because the data is inconvenient to their feelings. Instead of facts don't care about your feelings, it's really our feelings don't care about your facts. That's what they're telling their MAGA viewers. Hey, listen, I know the facts say that murder is down and has been dropping year after year after year. Sure, the facts say that 94% of the American population is covered in this FBI comprehensive report. Sure, all of that is true, but doesn't it feel like crime is up? Well, it feels like it's up to a lot of people because of the Fox Propaganda Network, because of Tim Pool, because of Steven Crowder, because of the Daily Wire, because they want their voters and their viewers to feel that when Democrats are in charge, cities, states, and yes, even the country becomes some sort of like post-law dystopian hellscape, even when the facts contradict it. So with all that in mind, let's get back to Jessica.
Yeah, I mean, crime is something that, no matter what the stats say, it's a feeling, and that people feel demonstrably unsafe. And I don't think you can refute that. I think that you have to meet people where they are about it and not just message to them what you want to. But these numbers are astronomical. It's deeply concerning. But it also isn't a Biden-Harris problem. The issue with the ICE chart is that there's no time frame on that. So it includes people who are in this country who came in under Donald Trump as well. And Donald Trump told us he had the most secure border in American history.
I'll also say it was confirmed by law enforcement officials familiar with the data that that is true, that many, their words, many of the migrants included in this report entered the country under Donald Trump. Fox doesn't want you to know that.
But 2.5 million people came into this country under Donald Trump, and he deported far less than Barack Obama did, actually, in a 4-year period. So you want to talk about it as a problem? It is absolutely a problem, but you can't lay this at the feet of one administration when the other administration had an insecure border policy itself. And I think that if you look at July of 2024, so that's the last month that we have the count for, they actually had 20,000 less border crossings than the last month of Donald Trump's administration. So he's really speaking out of two sides of his mouth here. He had 2.5 million people that got, well, he is.
Jessica, they're flying them in.
No,
they're flying them in,
Jesse,
and they're putting them through ports of entry, and they don't count those.
Tell me,
they don't count them.
Would you prefer if that chart could say 14,000 rapists, and I know that they all got in here under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? You can't, because the numbers are not specific to which administration. They could have come in under Barack Obama.
Do you think they all came in under Donald
No,
Trump?
of course I don't. But I'm saying that it
Here's
is
the bottom line.
unfair to say that it is only a problem.
If they reduce the numbers in June of 24, they can't now complain that we don't have a border bill. You can't have it both ways. On the one hand, they're saying they're capable of reducing the numbers as
and
they
we
did
could go
in June,
even further.
but they will not do, when on day one?
Jesse,
when
go
you
ahead.
got the bipartisan border bill.
So again, what's funny is they try to have it both ways, and then they accuse us of trying to have it both ways. Here's the thing. Executive orders have the full force of law, but they are by far the most vulnerable to being overturned by judges. That happened under the Trump administration. When Donald Trump couldn't get his wall, when Donald Trump failed repeatedly to negotiate a bipartisan immigration and border bill, he attempted to, Republicans attempted to, Democrats attempted to, they could never come to an agreement. You know what Donald Trump did? He used executive orders to try to get his way. And very often, conservative judges overturned Donald Trump's executive orders because they said he overrode his authority. He went beyond his purview. That's why President Biden and Democrats wanted legislation. They're like, hey, listen, we've tried this before. Previous presidents have tried this before. Executive orders are much more likely to get struck down. So how about we negotiate in good faith with one another? And here's the thing. Progressives rightly have many legitimate critiques of the bipartisan border bill because it was certainly more conservative than progressive. For every one progressive provision, for example, I think there was one that said unaccompanied minors get represented by counsel, which is a bare freaking minimum, that if you're here, and you are a minor, that you should have a lawyer, right? One would think that that would be a bare bones humanitarian provision we offer. That's a progressive provision, the closest thing to one. And for every provision like that, you have more often than not conservative, 1 to 2 to 3 different conservative provisions, which is why the Biden-hating, Trump-loving bipartisan, the Biden-hating, Trump-loving Border Patrol Union endorsed the bill. They even went on Fox campaigning for it, like, hey, Republicans, please sign this damn bill. It doesn't give us everything we wanted, but it's something. It's good. It would tighten laws. It would enable the federal government to shut down the border legally and much more stringently, and it surged resources to the southern border. Donald Trump shut it down for cynical political purposes to do exactly what Donald Trump and the Fox Propaganda Network are doing right here, to demagogue on the issue, to campaign on the issue. They hate Democrats so much that they are gleefully willing to screw over Americans and migrants and their own constituents just to campaign on an issue that they've never solved and that they've actually actively sabotaged. So yes, what Jessica Tarlov said was perfectly consistent. When Donald Trump did all those things and therefore should be held morally and politically culpable for that decision, President Biden broke glass in case of an emergency and issued executive orders, which have been very, very effective, but they are incredibly legally vulnerable. Courts may decide that what President Biden did was illegal. It's entirely possible. That's why Biden tried to avoid that and went for a more legally efficacious route, which is congressional law. So Jeanine Pirro is just dead wrong, too stupid or dishonest to make that claim in good faith. With the rest of it, though, again, Jessica Tarlov is again correct. Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld, Jeanine Pirro, Dana Perino want you to believe that 13,000 murderers are in this country because of President Biden and Vice President Harris. There are 13,000 migrants in this country who have committed homicide, either here in the United States or abroad, and may have served out their sentences here or abroad, but still need to be deported. But that happened under multiple administrations. As Jessica Tarlov said, it could have even happened, many of these people may have come in under the Obama administration, and then the Trump administration, and the Biden administration. But what it is that Republicans help create a problem, then they point fingers at the problem, they make the problem worse, they demagogue the issue, they actively sabotage attempts to address the problem because they think they can politically benefit from it. And it's a feedback loop. It's a racket that they have created, and they have been handsomely rewarded by. And you have 4 out of the 5 actively trying to aid and abet them in doing it. And that's why they get so triggered, because unfortunately for them, Jessica Tarlov is smarter than all of them. She has a better grasp of the facts than all of them. And that's why they lost their minds when she told them the cold, hard truth. Now, again, I understand why people might see this report and have serious concerns. I think it's perfectly fair to have those concerns. I think it's perfectly fair to want greater security at the southern border, but also sweeping comprehensive immigration reform, which, by the way, Republicans, at least back in the Reagan era, at least nominally supported. Things that offer pathways to citizenship and certainly avoid anything like the incredibly authoritarian, fascistic mass deportation that Donald Trump is now calling for. How about we try that? Unfortunately, there's only one party, only one, that is even attempting to do something about all these things, and that's the Democratic Party. The Republican Party is content to create a problem or help exacerbate a problem, point fingers at the problem, actively sabotage attempts to solve the problem, and then try to benefit from it politically. So my recommendation is, if you're an eligible voter in the United States, no matter what your beef is with the Democratic Party, don't reward the bad faith actors in the Republican Party, because all they're going to do is keep doing it, create or exacerbate problems because they think they can politically benefit from it. Food for thought. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments.